B. Don't let him react. Most likely, hand cut. Lonely old Marshal. You don't have to say anything. The owner received my house. If you know that your loved one, I will appreciate you all my life. You don't know. This is my master's lifelong wish. Stop talking where they can't see you. With a pleasant smile. Every step of the way has fallen into his trap. Adulterated to 130 for fetish women embracing big thighs. Right now is the prize. From behind appeared a boastful appearance. Lonely old Marshal. It's really people. Most probably know she's acting like that. But her expression was too pompous. I hope it's not discovered by the lone warrior. If you don't think it's over. Look at the shrew in front of you. She was alone with a gentle gaze and asked to track the butler. This one is out of a state of helplessness before the performance of ordinary. I must have laughed to voices. Not even introduced to people. This is our old lady who's lost her way. Is that feces? Often here the two eyes can't help but light up. Almost jumped up. There's not a bit of the usual female style. Most likely kinky mouth jerking. Low voice murmuring in. Your ears are too loud. Distraction usually stagnates for a while. Turn back the excitement towards people. The lonely girl laughed. To see her smile. The lonely warrior also revealed a smile of goodwill. On the contrary, his son stared at her. This one, it's basically being captivated by her smile. Most likely, they put their expressions into their eyes. Soldier for 3 years. Looking at the sow also thinks the real boat. It's not fake. I thought about it. Looking at the lonely woman again, she said. Lonely old Marshal. One day you can get something. We are truly the joy of the lost. Ta. I don't know how much closer we are. People can't help but be stunned. Again looking towards the usual divergence. For lonely people face a little shy red. The dead are them. It's a little unsightly to reveal this face. She was alone and meditated for a while. Finally hesitated to speak. I just don't know what the owner means. The prize is not waiting for him to finish his sentence. Hurry to say rest assured. My father would agree. This has been your hope for years. She glanced at the people behind her. Think for a moment. They killed more than 15 people on the battlefield. Ra should have been Ra. A long time. The warrior decided to smile. If the owner is satisfied. Of course the old man agreed. To get consent. It's the dung from behind. Hurry to the front of her alone. Get down on your knees and offer him tea. Laughing invites someone to drink tea. She received a cup of tea from the west. Have fun sipping. But I can't believe this is the right time. Van High suddenly knelt down and shouted. Van High lost to the side meaning. This word just came out. Lonely girl town horror. Sprinkle the tea without swallowing it. Body wobbling one. 2 eyes on you. What did you say earlier? At the same time, for lonely people, Ms. Feng also bewildered endlessly. That was not a side effect. They only accept Yunkir as Tanbin Sao. That's it now. In his mouth, it became a blessing. The sea has a naturally respectful face. To hold the right to say you call people the wrong woman Sao. Most likely the next person silently laughed for an hour. You're right. That's the marshal. Before, it's not that you agree with Sao. Maybe the road is marshal. Such a small thing I want to do. Your eyes have been rolling for a long time. They can react. That's right, this butler just said close friends. It doesn't mean the end. This lost C, a surname, is also a form of friendship. It's just that there's a common divergence here. That's why he claims to be close to her. At this time, he calmly observes the C. From the very beginning, he offered tea. Have used the identification procedure. He wasn't paying attention at the time. I thought he was bored. Look at the most miserable laugh. The butler, Ra, said that this is the one. Of course, if not, what does the marshal think? The old man thought so. It's like seeing the suspicious look on your face. She has a little. I don't know how to go on. I turned to look at the four. Finally, the doctor sighed and changed his words. The old man thought this too. Hear this word. For people were immediately lost. I thought this trip was still there. It is a pity to be able to return to the beautiful princess. Most likely the opposite, laughing big fun, ha ha. That's good, young man. 3 things with a subtext. The locals were happy to shout for an hour. Then came in front of her a lone brawling head 3 times. Solo girl fight look. I look at my son and get it. There's a bit of laughter. I thought I would get a bride. Let him have another son. There's no way to do this anyway. The angel of war, he used to shine brightly. You can't keep your word. Moreover, this boy is also NDTO. Strangers worship soldiers, so maybe it's a tiger under him. That. He turned to the sea and said seriously. And today I will serve you as a servant. You have to follow the rules of her poison. The old man before the public split. Enter our army. As long as the armor doesn't leave you, you can only call the marshal. I can't call a surname. If there is any violation of military regulations, the old men must be executed according to the military law. It's amazing. You can ask for of them. High hugs the right to excitedly answer the meaning of women. No, Marshal. The woman in the sky saw him. The time of satisfaction, even if you are the son of the old man. But now I can't borrow your name. If you find that you can't forgive, there is no objection to the sea. Smiling loud and clear, Marshal. Most likely, the plan is successful. Smiling for an hour. Looking at the lonely, she said, congratulations to the marshal on getting another son. Smart and smart. Believe that the marshal received. My son will definitely be 7. I said, go back to the 4 of you. Miss Feng is standing there. Laughing said, congratulations to the 4 generals on having another brother. Later, I asked everyone to take care of me. Hear this word. For lonely people angry endlessly. They want the bride, not the brothers. There's enough of the 4 of them. What more do you need? Look at their unwillingness. Probably the most grinning. I can't believe the power of pollination is so good. With just a smile for people. Think and be quiet. Maybe raise your hand as a thumb. Reward for strawberry trap. She saw that and laughed. Suddenly now, she looked at the most cruel of all. The old butler Track accepted Van High as his son. Should I have met the owner of the lost house? Hear this word. The strongest body in the world can't help shivering. Said with a deep sigh. That's right. I think Ra wants to see the marshal soon. Follow me. Stop talking and walk in another direction. At the same time, to people who are confused often also appear tragic. It makes you feel a little confused. Lift your feet, follow the most secure. Soon enough, they reached a small room. Most likely, he went into the field and signaled the marshal. Bye. The lone warrior just walked in. I was horrified. Crashed into his eyes. It is on the high table. There is an inscription above the owner's family name. The lonely people saw this. Immediately terrified. Stand in front of the post and sigh. Probably most quietly. House owner single girl. Old Marshal, you've been visiting him all your life. You must be happy, right? 2 billion people listen. And with this word, my eyes are red forever. To see this situation, you can't help but feel a little guilty. Not expected. The battle of the forest was so cruel. Even the owner is dead. The surgeon sighed silently. He's still a step behind. She's alone, and she's sinking in, tragically without noticing. At this point, the world must have a hidden smile. 235 right now. Lonely battle inclined towards incense burning spirit. Then he looked at the most ordinary and asked the butler. I don't know if there are 5 levels out there. Is it out of the hands of the owner? Most likely, he nods arrogantly, saying that of course. Even though our owner is only the 6th part of the scene. But astronomy, geography, battle practice, knitting. Nothing is unsophisticated. 4 games that year. He was our owner when we were alive. She is alone in the heart of the whole business. Not without applause for an hour. So that's it. The owner is a genius. I don't blame you. I will send the old man 1,000 miles to your support. 5-level battles weather reached the magic scene. It's not quite possible to penetrate. Like a lost owner. It's a plot. It was able to continuously arrange for 5-level battles. It's a genius. But unfortunately, I have to say that the level is too low. Even if you control the enemy is too strong. Then he sighed with regret. It's a shame. If the owner is alive. The old man wanted to invite you into the army. As a general counsel. This word just came out. Most likely, I suddenly feel lucky. Fortunately, he did not admit that the war was due to his father. If not, he will be forced to serve as a soldier. It's too dangerous. For a long time, she suddenly spoke up. Yes, it was the people who gathered Ra. It's so cruel. Even the owner is dead. I am most likely to hear this word in silent amazement. So this guy's here. I don't know who the opponent is. This is so good that it's easy to fool. He pretended to be sad. The marshal doesn't know. These villains are really violent. And the power of terrorism. Black Maple, we have 100,000 families. Killed now, even 1,000 won't come. 2 billion disciples are far from stunned. When did you get away from them? There were 100,000 families. They're just a broken family. Where are so many people? She was angry and said, in the sky. There are such evil people who lose their humanity. The old man had to get rid of them first. Return security to space. I saw him angry instead of lost. They often take the opportunity to pray. The marshal's master, please. Even the sea otter is in a hurry to speak up. Birth side meaning, no marshal in charge of our lost family. Solo brunette swiping tube sleeves shouting out a har. Don't worry. The old man's eyes couldn't shake the sand. I will demand justice for you. She tried to go to the side of 2 billion hermits. Put your hands on your shoulders. Staring at her said, don't worry. Don't tell me, Hai is our brother now. Even if it has nothing to do with us. The 4 tigers are also great. The lady gave it to me. 3 people saw the action. The lonely wind is exasperated. The old man is the old man. No more than this time. Most likely, the world suddenly came. Receive the reaching hand of the lonely maple. His hands are extremely touching. He had the support of 4 generals. All the way up and down, we're forever grateful. Your hand is drawn back. Fake smile, say ha ha ha, should do it. His mouth is laughing. But in my heart I am angry. He wants to hold the soft arm of the peanut. I was so sorry that this butler, Chun, stopped me. It's obnoxious. The lone warrior standing next to him closed his eyes. Not out of mind. Don't say it's for the peace of the universe. It's because these 4 can be pursued. A woman who works like him. We will restore justice to the lost. That Han emits an angry atmosphere for an hour. Track the butler. Who are those people after all? Where the old man led his army to wipe them out. Probably the most immediate power. Praise the lone marshal. Of course, the spirit of war is extraordinary. There's nothing to hide. One of the villains is a dead man. Believe that the marshal's code. Sure enough to win. Bring that tattered sand to the ground. Return peace to the universe. He hasn't finished yet. Mayanech, she heard the name of Cup. I was amazed. Interrupts and waits. Wait, who did you say they were? Probably a bit of a head. Laughing a small voice. Why is the marshal having trouble? Lonely girl brawl is really awkward. Down to the 7 worlds raw is existence. It can't be moved at will. I don't blame you for sending him to the hospital. The universe except the 4. Really, no one can stop the power of the 7. Lonely girl is silently sweating cold. Your Majesty didn't tell him before. Now it's good. His words can't be recovered. Who told him what to do? Over here, 2 heterosexual sisters often share the same expression. Waiting to see. You wore heaven. Most likely, I looked at him with deep eyes. The general doesn't know when to leave. We can follow the disease next to the army to support you. The woman next to him seemed to understand the difficulty of my father's words. Immediately raise your voice. Track the butler. You claim to be Cup Sao. Is there any evidence? Why is this a big deal? No evidence. No evidence. No evidence. I will let people talk. Lonely girl warrior gets the ladder down. He looked at the three most likely people. That's what the old man said. Do you have proof? Want evidence. The Feng elders came to fight. They were all killed together. Most likely, where can you get the evidence? For a while, most people would say they were running too fast, without leaving any evidence. The words he just finished her silent battle breathed. That's too good for him to be awkward. He looked at the three people laughing. If there is no evidence, the old man too. And he hasn't finished yet. Most likely immediately change your words. But those people are running fast. But my father and my father, the lost elders, it's their internal. If he is caught, he must be a witness. Lonely girl angel quietly startled. Let's say a word about this. In the end, there's no other way. Turn your head to the poison. Miss Lam pleads for help. Miss Lin thought for a moment. He shook his head slightly. It's just an inside job. You and your friends have nothing to do with it. That's not enough evidence. The lonely girl of heaven heard that immediately woke up. The doctor sighed. That's right. To not the old man is not dedicated. The evidence is really weak. Not easy to do. If not, the old man must be clear. God's permission to leave. Destroy you min cup of this 7 Ra. Solitude alone is not impossible to confront. It's because dance meditation is now in balance. If you're dealing with the important people of the 7 kingdoms, without careful consideration, the person in distress will be the universe. That's why he also has a weak heart. I can't make a promise. I am most likely to hear this quietly for an hour. This old man wants to push. Life and death are not conspiracies. You have to think of a way. Let him and those bastards fight. Even a small VA touch is good. Suddenly at this moment, State Leader burst into the room screaming. Track the butler. Our detective found out. There are 3 streams in the air of the forest. I don't know what it is. This word just came out. People are immediately amazed. Miss Feng is worried. Looking at her alone, she said the meaning. She was alone for a while. Take your voice and give orders. Follow Ra to see. Very quickly the lonely warriors arrived. In front of the black leopard paint, take a look at the 3 jade blocks floating in the air. Solo girl transmitted heaven startled said, it is the treasure of communication. I want you to recover that treasure. See who sent the treasure. She alone received the order to embrace the right to shout out loud. I didn't wait for him to fly away. Suddenly there was thunder in the air. A shadow in the blink of an eye. Bring the 3 jewels into your hands. Fly back again. She looked up at the river. Amazingly naive. I can't believe there are only 5 big ones. Most likely, it's not extraordinary. This speed is comparable to the Master of Heaven. He did not expect such a young housekeeper. There is this talent again. That's what makes people feel. Most likely I got this in my hand. Best of you. Turned towards the lonely people who said, Lonely old Marshal. You don't want the evidence now. He. Lonely girl warrior suspect frowning get things in hand. Shouting this is amazing. Most likely, I laughed and said no. This is the owner of the house. Pharmacy power and pleasure hentai lamb. Give orders to the elders here. This word has just come out. The four lonely people cried out in horror. What? 236 evidence. Most likely, look at the reaction of the lone warrior. Smiling on the one hand seriously. Lonely old marshal. Is this evidence enough? Solitaire Tian Tian gently bit her lips. The voice of hate is loud enough. Is this evidence strong enough? Enough steel. So when the soldiers go out to fight you Min Cup. Lonely girl battles stagnate for a moment on the face. Suddenly seriously talking about leaving. I need your permission. Don't worry, the old man will give you the evidence. Give justice to your families. Most likely, he nods happily. There's more, Marshal. See who can solve it. Power and pleasure lamb no. This steel evidence viewer also has two houses. It is true that the elephant was asked to solve a problem. Drinking was no small thing. He also wants to solve it. Pharmacy king power and pleasure hentai lamb. If you want to be as strong as 1,000 years ago, it's always better to do a 7-nation war. She laughed and said, the old man will give you his decision. Most likely a nod. Think back to the name of the sound. Like the marshal. If you want to play them, just write one more name. Solo brunette startled alert. Ask what else? Probably touch your nose. Smiling, but this is a little annoying. We know that's the mastermind behind it. But there's no steel evidence. If the Senate can't play, just keep it up. Lonely girl fighting heaven eyes slightly shrink. The sound is a little shaky. The mastermind behind the 3 human houses is AI. Smiling for an hour. Most likely, he refused to shake his head and say ha ha ha. As for the marshal, it's basically unremarkable. But to this little family of ours, again the great character, only the commander-in-chief can protect us. I can't wait to hear you here. Urgently ask who it is. Most likely towards them. Slowly say out a royal name. This name just came out 5 people. It's a lonely battle that makes people immobile on their foreheads. Cold sweat. He is not afraid of the emperor. But his army alone is to protect the country. They can be destroyed in the game. If it's the emperor, this time he really has a headache. The worst of all blinking innocently. Asked the marshal alone. What are you? Solo girl trench coat tie. Bring for lonely people who want to leave. This delayed the old man to the place first. Take care of important things. I can see he wants to go. Probably the most voiceless voice of the old marshal. You don't manage us anymore. You were in front of our owner's card. He promised to help us get justice. The 2 red eyes also spoke. Meaning sub-marshal. You promised to me earlier. Suddenly the doctor nods her lonely battle angel side. All right, all right. The old man said he would keep his word. Just let the old man think about it first. Stop talking and take for people away. Before you go, say back. The old man is stationed 10 miles away. No one dares to touch you. Okay, dead apple. Looking at their bodies, they disappeared. Probably the best mouth. The marshal has no guts. Go to war with 7 countries. But also make sure to protect them. This move also results in NDTO. I think he turned his head and laughed. Let's go home too. He looked to the most certain side of the world, he said. You must follow that marshal. To be Sao soldiers. Most of all, I would say of course. She fought alone for a lifetime. The 4 tigers. Anyone who is brave enough to fight. Taught by him. It is also my blessing. Basically, they don't want to go. If you can't speak up, why don't you go? He doesn't like your fight very much. Probably laughing for an hour. Muttering unnecessary words. Why do I have to go? Most likely, he glanced at him, coldly threatening to go follow her alone as a soldier. For every 10 hours of practice, I choose one. You are still a soldier. Listen to practice 10 hours. The sea immediately turned its head and ran away. It's better to be a soldier. I often see 2 people laughing. Suddenly thinking for a while. And then speak up again, sure. If. The meaning of death. That old marshal won't take it anymore. You have a relationship with the 4 pillars. Will you marry me? Most probably don't need to think. Very quickly, he nodded. Maybe it's political marriage. It is to use it alone. 4 pillars and get lost together. Not a hole either. And still lazy too. If you want to increase the benefits of the 3. Misfire, he is a brute. The easiest to use is slow burning. The idea is not over yet that the common shit screamed out for an hour. Go to hell. Most likely, I watched her leave angrily. It's hard to understand what to scratch your head for. It's not for the good of you. What's more, marry someone who is not married. In a different way. She and her 4 sons hurried down the mountain. I don't want to be asked for more by the lost. At this moment, Miss Lin suddenly spoke up, Marshal. Why do we feel we're trapped? Reminded by Miss Lin. Finally, the lone warrior awakened. Take a walk around Black Maple. He doesn't clarify anything. I vaguely received a son. Promises poured out countless. Finally completely tied together with the lost family. Especially in the face of the 4 great nations. It happened so suddenly. He was a little out of time. Half a month later. In a small room inside the black feng paint. Most likely, people are still practicing. I've been busy these days with the lost. Still have to check. See the cultivation progress of the guards and photo guards. Back to the training time of the most ordinary track. Serious deficiency. The C is not here. SA is also not small. This boy is also smart. Since she is a woman. Not a few days to win his heart. Now stay in the barracks and refuse to go back. That's good, you can rest assured. Suddenly he opened his eyes wide. The corner of my mouth is showing the way the devil he. We are sad for no reason. Let that old man come to you. I can't believe you came before me. Stop talking and go outside and call out to the old man. State leader Herd quickly appeared. They say the butler has something to say. Most likely look at him. Order the lonely daimyo to take a trip. Save that old man. There is an accident. Hear this word. The governor suddenly rushed. Hurry to go out. What has the enemy coming? Where do we go first? Probably the most aggressive patted him on the shoulder, laughing in a hurry. That's why you're running so much. Go for help. All the characters are here, my main character. You can't keep them waiting. Adultery 237 provocation. At the same time, outside the forest gate. A wind chariot sound. A series of bodies simultaneously landing. Is the human bug of the long dance flower. Find the long, and the sword servant. The most generous of all. The soldiers looked inside the city gate. My face is full of words. I don't know if they did. I hope we're not late. Long Jade Fei also mused for a while. Today in the Silent City. Even if it happened soon enough. It's just that Fenglin City is the forbidden land of the 7 worlds. Do we need to go in for a test? In the meantime, everyone fall into the silence at the same time. You min cup as Sao let people blend in. They don't know at all. But it's definitely not the main light coming in. If they come in today, they're caught. Another lost family. This will definitely be on their head. For a while. The big military aggressive knocked the stick coldly said. Not in the tiger cave. Let's catch the tiger. Withdraw immediately, bring to people HOA bar and long form owner. Go into the city. That's right now. People of color appeared to stop them. You have to stop for the old man. The army looked at him. Speak coldly, master, what do you mean? He laughed with his mouth wide open. He. The people in front of me didn't hide their words. We understand your thoughts. But unfortunately you're late. Bitquan and everyone at the same time frowned. What does Bai say? Maybe you are. It's cold for an hour. We know you've come to the stranger's aid. But you fly faster. Maybe it's faster than Jewel. If the plan is not wrong. Half a month ago, the old man, to ambush in the forest city, have received our message. Let's go out with the peanuts. It must be full of bodies now, ha ha ha. This word just came out. Bugs of the big military department just came down immediately. It's a big hassle this time. If it's really what he says. I have to see the reaction of 7. They probably can't get their hands on it. The 7-year-old continues to be so soft. The king's punishment will come sooner or later. The first person to be dealt with was 3 of them. That's right now. There was a mocking sound in the back. I have to give you 7 hopes. Lost to us.